Ant-Man 3's kicking off Phase 5. So it's important you understand just how terrifying Kang the Conqueror really is. Because as far as a 1v1 between him and Thanos goes, Kang wins every time, and by a huge margin. Here's why. First, let's look at his ultimate goal, which is literally multiversal. He doesn't just want to conquer little old Earth 616. He wants to take over as many universes as possible, and he has all the time and resources to do it. He who remains from Loki have lived for millions of lifetimes. So imagine how long the others have been living for, and how much knowledge and resources they've gathered for their goals. Yeah, he's a lot scarier than Thanos, and I'll explain why in a minute. But why not let Quantumania's producer tell you instead? So Screen Rant recently invited Steven Boussard to talk about Quantumania.
I know, we know so far. We're meeting another version tonight. We'll see where it goes, and it's just been amazing to watch Jonathan bring these characters, plural, to life. And I always say he's a bit like a Swiss Army knife, right, as a performer. And we've seen a few of the blades come out, and stay tuned, I would say, moving forward.
And when asked about how big of a threat he is, he said that it's basically a war of the gods. And this is what's so interesting to me as a fan. A war of the gods is something we haven't seen in the MCU yet. And I know it's not God in the religious or metaphysical sense. It's God in the sense that he's unlocked the secret back door of the multiverse. And he can do literally whatever he wants with it. He can turn up anywhere, anytime. And no one can stop him. Not even Thanos and his Infinity Stones. And is that what makes Kang scarier than the Mad Titan? Kinda. But there's a lot more nuance to his character than just control over the multiverse. He can manipulate time and wipe out entire timelines from existence. Yeah, he can control, manipulate, and alter time. And just to give you a taste of how terrifying he is, let's talk about Avengers Mech Strike from 2021, specifically issue number 5. This was a really dope storyline that featured one of Kang's most devastating attacks against the Avengers. And the gnarliest part was where the villain revealed his own version of the Avengers picked from different timelines. Actually, they weren't Avengers, they were monsters. They had essentially killed all the other Avengers in their own respective timelines, and Kang picked them out to form his own supergroup. And of course, there's the infamous panel that I'm sure every comic nerd remembers. The one where Kang grabbed Thanos by the throat and fast-forwarded him through his lifespan. And after he was done, he had Thanos' skull in the palm of his hands. Brutal. That's what makes him such a terrifying villain to me. Thanos never stood a chance against him. And honestly, neither do the Avengers. Because what truly sets him apart is the fact that you can't really get rid of him. There are an infinite number of Kang variants across the multiverse, and each of them is as bad as the next. You know how they say it's better to choose the lesser of two evils? Well, how do you choose the lesser of infinite evils? And thanks to Sylvie killing He Who Remains, there's no need to choose anymore, because they're all let loose on the multiverse now. He even gave Loki and Sylvie a chance to avoid the multiversal war in Loki's season 1 finale. If you go back and look at his conversation with him, he gives them two options. They could either kill him and deal with the aftermath of Infinite Kangs, or take over the TVA themselves and run it as they see fit. In hindsight, the second option seems a lot more appealing, huh? Well, anyway, I brought up Thanos and the Infinity Stones a while ago, but would the stones really work against Kang? To put it simply, no. Remember how the TVA staff used the stones as paperweights? Yeah, that should tell you just how insignificant they are in the grand scheme of things. If the Avengers brought the Infinity Stones from one universe to another, they wouldn't work, because they only work in their respective universes. So the stones from Earth 838, for example, they'd be useless against Kang in Earth 616. So that plan's out the window. And it just goes to show that what worked in the Infinity Saga won't work now. This is a completely different MCU, and things are about to get much darker. Because unlike Thanos, Kang doesn't have a moral code. Say what you will about the Mad Titan, the man had a clear vision of what he wanted. He was like this mad scientist who knew that the universe's resources are finite, and that they're being used inefficiently by too many people. What he did was genocide, there's no doubt about it. But he didn't do it because he wanted to kill people. He could have easily wiped out all the superheroes if he wanted to.
You're an interesting man. Scott Lang.
I don't know who you are, but you've made a big mistake, okay? I'm an Avenger.
He had the Reality Stone. He wouldn't need much effort to turn them to dust, but in his own very messed up way, he was actually pretty merciful. He didn't want to kill the Avengers or destroy the Earth. He wanted to give everyone the opportunity to rebuild a better universe. That didn't work out, since the MCU is still reeling from the consequences of the blip. But those consequences are nothing compared to the havoc Kang's about to introduce to everyone.
This is a bit of a different variant, one that fans are very, very, very highly anticipating. Tell me about this guy.
There will be conquering.
Thanos had a screwed up moral code, but Kang has nothing guiding him except his ego and his need to gain more power and influence. He'll enslave entire civilizations or completely wipe them out if it means he'll conquer a world. He'll destroy an entire timeline if it means getting closer to his goals. Oh, and if you want another example of just how bad this guy is, you don't need to look further than Avengers Volume 7 from the 2016 Marvel Now event. In it, Vision has the bright idea to kidnap Kang as a baby and take him to the future. This ends up creating a paradox, and Kang's able to track Vision down, but he doesn't just retaliate by beating Vision. No, he dials his rage to 11 and promises him that he'll find all the Avengers as babies and kill them. Yikes! So obviously the Avengers are able to avoid this and stop Kang eventually. But can you imagine that version of Kang in the MCU? I don't know about you, but I want that to happen. Not only does it make him cartoonishly evil, it also sets him apart as one of the most diabolical villains in the MCU. He spoke about how he's killed Avengers in the Quantumanium trailer. So who knows? Maybe he'll end up revealing that he killed them all when they were children, so they wouldn't grow up and pose a threat to his empire. It'll be dark, I know, but I think the MCU needs that, and I think we got a taste of it in Loki, because ultimately, Kang is just smarter, more technologically advanced, and has access to more henchmen. Let's put aside the comics for a second, and focus on the MCU version of Kang the Conqueror as we know him. Remember his pet dog Goliath, a literal living tempest?
Go! We're gonna enchant it!
I don't know how!
You do! Because we're the same!
A void that consumes anything and everything that comes near it. Imagine pitting Thanos or his children against it. He'd probably chew them up and spit them out before Thanos could snap his fingers. Yeah, it's not even a competition. Even Loki and Sylvie had to use some serious magic to go up against it. But who's to say other variations of Kang don't have their own versions of Goliath? Or something much worse. After all, if He Who Remains was the man at the end of time, and he created the TVA and Goliath, and successfully managed the sacred timeline for millions of lifetimes, then how powerful do you think his variants are? Who, by the way, he admitted are much worse than him. So is Kang a scarier threat than Thanos? Yes. Will he change the face of the MCU in a way Thanos never could have dreamed of? Absolutely. And that's all, folks. I'll see you in the next one.